Paul Nicholls may be champion trainer, but when it comes to Cheltenham Festival winners, he's a long way behind this man.
Zebs can run for more than that if they fold them up. It's quite good to me, Jess.
Nicky, 31 Cheltenham Festival winners. Any of them stand out in your mind?
Well, I mean, the beginning ones do, because they were special. I mean, the early days, it was never easy. Still isn't. And we were very lucky, and see, then got the ball rolling. But Remittance Man was a great character of a horse, who won an Arkle and a Queen Mother Champion Chase. Then you came along. Well, there were some great days then. Ray Mallette, I no doubt you will remember well. I would say the best ride I saw of any horse of ours that won at Cheltenham would have been when you won on Marlborough. Stormy Fairweather's 2 years were rather special because he was a special horse for some great mates. Fonmore was a special person, and I don't think anybody will ever forget any sort of festival winner you have. They're all, you know, I could remember and relay every single race there ever was. Or that have won, and probably all the losers as well. Those short heads and things, they hurt like hell.
Nicky Henderson has trained a winner of 3 champion hurdles with one horse, See You Then. He's hoping this fella, Binocular, is going to make it 4.
He's fine. If I say everything's gone really well, it hasn't quite, only because since the Boyle Sport in December, which luckily was rerun at Ascot, and that was great. It was a very good performance, and I mean on that he's fully entitled to be let's say the price he is, but he's entitled to be favourite. Where the plan has just come a little bit unstuck, I didn't bank on. It was 2.5 weeks when we couldn't leave the yard. We were stuck in the covered ride, and thank goodness for that, because without that we would have been in horse boxes every day of the week, virtually trying to go to beaches and racecourses and things like that. But we got plenty done. But I couldn't help feeling, and particularly after he'd worked at Kempton, you could just see that he needed what we did there, and that's why we did it. That we had been held up, and that it was during January when we should have been, you know, he should have been coming back into his fast work. We were doing lots of steady cantering. It wasn't the work I wanted to be doing with him at the time. So perhaps I had got, you know, we got a little bit behind. But, you know, Kempton would have done him a lot of good. He's got a couple more bits of work to do. And he's in good form. I mean, he's never been, you know, he wouldn't tell you that he's as good as he is at home.
Punjabi and Century Duty, they're also in the lineup for the champion hurdle. What can you tell us about those two?
Punjabi, he was 3rd in it last year, won the Irish equivalent at Punchestown, which was great. Started the year winning the fighting 5th, then had a very nasty fall in the Christmas hurdle, where you'd like to say, I can't say he'd have won, I can't say he'd have lost. He was travelling very well. It was just one of those horrible falls. And we had to go into the Kingwall. He ran very well, he travelled well, he jumped well, in desperate ground, and that's not his scene either. And he just got tired turning in. With Century Duty, he's obviously done nothing wrong. He's won 2 very big handicaps. He might have won a 3rd one if the Turk Gold Trophy had been run, but we lost it. But the secret to him, there's no doubt, we have finally discovered, because the idiotic trainer didn't realise it last year, that you have to have him incredibly fresh. So the bigger the gap, the better he be. And so him not running, I'm not even thinking of a racecourse gallop. He'll come in fresh and ready to go.
Punchestown's another horse who we saw winning at Ascot very impressively in the long walk. How's he coming along?
Good. We gave him another run. I'm glad I got that run in, although he actually got beaten by big bucks. He had his little break, came back and had a run because he does need racing. And as you know well, he lacks a bit of experience still for a very big horse. And although he got beaten at Cheltenham, there were 2 things. One is I think we got £6 to come from big bucks that we gave him that day. And also I'd be pretty confident I've got a fair bit of improvement up our sleeve to come as well, because he was that, you know, I hate to say it, that wasn't his D-Day. Cheltenham is. The only problem that has crept in, that I was happy after that run at Cheltenham, thinking, yep, we've got a pretty good chance of winning the World Hurdle here. That was all going very smoothly until Haydock the other day, which was nothing to do with Punchestown's, because he was locked up in his box without a television. But unfortunately, I watched the thing and got beaten, actually, with Duke de Renier by a thing called Casbar Bliss from France, and it looked terrifying. My confidence hasn't, I haven't lost any confidence in Punchestones, but I have a nasty feeling there's a horse out there that can beat him.
Nicky, Nama for the Supreme Novice Hurdle, will he run?
Well, no sort of firm decision yet made. I mean, there is a few imponderables in there. I'd still be quite keen. I mean, I know he got beaten at Kempton the other day, and he was a genuine stayer on the flat, and I'm not sure that sort of speed-type race as they ran it at Kempton. He was a bit keen early on, and then there was a bit of a sprint, and he missed. He wasn't tidy all the way, and he just didn't meet the last two well. You'd like to think he'd come on a little bit. He's got to improve his jumping. That was disappointing on the day. That I can't but help think a stiffer track would suit him. And as I say, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I really do believe I can sort of justify reasons for why he didn't win and how he can improve.
Mad Max is another one who's fancied by many people. He's in the Ballymore and the Supreme.
If it was genuinely decent ground, I think we'd probably go the longer distance. He's very big, and but he's a long way from slow, isn't he? You won bumpers on him last year, and he's not a slow horse at all. But probably, you know, he'd even probably maybe settle better at 2.5, just rolling along, rather than if you get into a bit of a tear over 2, he might tear 2.
Zanar, favourite for the Triumph Hurdle. You've also got a couple of others in there, but Zanar looks to be the obvious one.
He would be. I think he'd probably be the only Triumph Hurdle horse, probably. Yeah, I mean, he is favourite. I've seen a lot of things recently that have come out that have frightened me a little bit. Some people will crab his performance at Ascot and say he didn't travel as well. But that's him. He finally did the job very well. At the time, the race didn't look over competitive on paper. Funny enough, it's worked out very well since, and he won well. He stays and he jumps.
Many people have crabbed him because of the walk he did at Kempton, but he's, as we all know, that track on the Triumph Hurdle is a lot stiffer track, and that'll bring out the best in him.
And also at Kempton, we were only working over 1.5 miles, and you know, he worked all right, actually. I mean, he's very laid back. He'd only had 2 runs on the flat, and he's only had 2 runs over hurdles, and that's why I put him in there with 2 horses and got him squeezed up and everything. Again, it was all practice for him.
Nicky, Barber's shop in the Gold Cup for Her Majesty.
Well, we're going to go. My head's on the chopping block, so. But I'm keen to have a go. I'd see no point in coming back to the Ryanair now that I think unquestionably he showed at Sandown that 3 miles suits him far better. And 3.25, he's bred to get it, he will get it. I don't see he'll win, but he'll get the trip. To me, the revelation was at Sandown, when you're just going that half a stride slower than they do in those 2.5s around Cheltenham, where you are the guns to the head from start to finish. Whereas just over 3 at Sandown, when he was just able to sit on the bridle the whole way, he travelled like a good horse, he jumped like a good horse, and he looked like one. And I think he can. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do that again. Now, whether he can beat these sort of horses, I don't know. But we aren't left with a lot of options now. He's come to the top of the pile, or he's in that bracket, and I think he's a realistic shot. And I'm happy the way he's going. He's going to have a gallop at Newbury, and all systems go.
Petit Robin, another horse who's got one to beat, so they say, with Masterminded. How's he been doing?
Well, that is it. He's very well. Yes, he got beaten, and well beaten by Masterminded. The only thing I would say is that I do think he'd probably be better left-handed. That's about the only ray of hope I can come up with for seeing a reason why we should get any closer to Masterminded. They always say don't be frightened of one, but I'm absolutely petrified of it. I think he's the best chaser in training as there is, and he's going to be very, very difficult to beat.
Nicky, it wouldn't go without saying that one race that you've already won, but I'm sure you'd love to win again, is the race named in honour of your late father.
Well, it would. It's obviously very special. We did with Green Hope. I think we threw a phalanx in that day, and I fear you were on the wrong one. But that's the whole reason for running lots of them. I would think French Opera, certainly. We have he is only a novice. Actually, he hasn't even won over fences. But he is, I have sort of slightly kept him for that, because he is a good horse, and I mean, he's a good hurdler, and he's jumped very well. Again, wants to go left-handed, so that's ideal for him. Good ground is crucial. My Petra, again, same thing, she's in good form. She worked very well on that Kempton Gallop, and she's very well. So I'd like that she is in the 2.5 as well. And as much as trying to win Dad's race, I would love to win my late mentor's race, the Fred Winter, because he was about the next most special reason for why I'm in racing. Couldn't have done it without Dad, and I certainly wouldn't have done it if I hadn't have been lucky enough to have been at Uplands in all those great years, and we haven't won the Fred Winter yet. And I hope there's a couple there. Higgy's Boy, he's won 2 of his 3, and it was only some very bad ground at Cheltenham that got him beat in that good race. He won well at Doncaster the other day, and I think he's very realistic. And Miss Seren, she was the filly that AP had the fall off on the day of his 3,000. She should have been 3,000 because she was winning pretty comfortably. And I think she'd have a great chance. And actually, the other, there are 3 people that I was very fond of, and the Duke, David Nicholson, and that is another race I would love to win, because the Duke was a great mate. So we've got to try and capture that as well. Chumbawamba, who's been a great servant, should be off to stud after this, so it will be her swan song. But she's a lovely mare. You loved her, I know, and I mean, she's been tremendous. I think, as you always said, perhaps 2.5 stretches her stamina around Cheltenham. But, you know, she won a couple of good races early in the season, and I've tried to get her freshened up for this, so I hope she is.
There's not long to go now, and for you, is it a case of trying to keep everything under a tight lid here?
It is. I mean, I think it's the same for everybody. Everybody gets a bit jangly, and nerves are a bit frayed. But I mean, you've got to try and enjoy it at the same time. The fact that we've got a good team of horses, yes, it puts the pressure on, but B, if it wasn't there, it would mean that we hadn't got the tackle to go there and look forward to running there and hoping you've got something that you can win with. The great thing is, if you can get a run on the board early in the meeting, it makes an enormous difference. You know, it's like having a good lead on the first day of a test match, or being 2 up at half time. You know, you're set up then, and you know you can really go and fight forward. So one would help.
So if it'd be a lot happier, Nicky Henderson, if we see him with a winner after winning it with one in the first race of the day.
Well, then you really know you're in prime posse. At least you're leading trainer for a moment.